This episode of Creating Wellness Podcast is sponsored by Incredible Edibles in Hickory, North Carolina. Incredible Edibles is the best place to visit to get great tasting food and drinks that benefit your overall wellness. Incredible Edibles offers frozen yogurt, smoothies, and kombucha on tap with a broad array of healthy benefits and snacks and the best CBD products from around the country. Come visit us at our brick and mortar location in the beautiful Holler Mill, where we have COVID-friendly personalized service that includes safe in-store shopping, curbside pickup, and limited distance same-day delivery. Or you can visit us online at incredibleedibles.com for online shopping, interesting blog posts, and more information about Incredible Edibles. Welcome to Creating Wellness Podcast. I'm Fran Paradine. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm also part owner of Incredible Edibles, a store in Hickory, North Carolina that sponsors this podcast. So like I said in my first podcast, one of the main goals of this is to create a space to talk about and learn about wellness, all different kinds of wellness. We also want to connect with other women in the community who are interested in sharing what they know and women who are curious to learn more. So overall, the goal is to connect, learn, and support. And that is why I'm so excited to have Michelle Morgan here with me today to talk about the magic that happens when women support women and when we all come together as a community. So Michelle is the director of the Women's Resource Center in Hickory, North Carolina, where the beauty of connecting happens every day. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to Michelle, and then I'm going to bring her on. So Michelle was born and raised in the Appalachian Mountains of Southern Kentucky, where she attended the University of Kentucky, majoring in dental hygiene. She made Hickory, North Carolina her home 25 years ago and has dedicated much of her time to raising her daughter, Sydney Shepherd. Michelle has a passion for fitness and became a certified Pilates instructor in 2008, and over the years has taught Pilates at several local yoga and wellness studios in the area. She's also worn several hats working in the sales field. However, her passion for helping others led her to her dream job at the Women's Resource Center, working to empower other women in the community. She began her career at Women's Resource Center in 2016 as a resource development specialist. In the spring of 2019, she received her certificate in nonprofit management from Duke University, and later that year was named to the position of executive director. Michelle enjoys volunteering and contributing to her community. She's a fierce advocate for women and strongly believes in the power of women helping women. She has served as a board member for several area nonprofits and currently sits on the North Carolina Community Foundation Grant Allocations Committee for the North Carolina School of the Arts. She's a court-appointed child's advocate, and in 2018, she ran for the Catawba County Board of Commissioners. She has a heart for helping the homeless and volunteers monthly with the Open Door Homeless Outreach Program. Michelle is also an avid runner, folk art collector, and amateur painter. Her daughter, Sydney, is all grown up now and is an actor and musician living in New York City. You need to check out her band called Bandits on the Run. It's actually really, really good. So Michelle currently resides in Hickory with her husband, attorney Bill Morgan, and their feisty terrier mix. Rescue doggy, Augie? Augie. Yes. So welcome, Michelle. I'm really, really excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So let's start with the Women's Resource Center because it's such a magical place in this community. And I'm not sure everybody really knows all that you guys do there and everything you offer there.
Yeah, we like to call ourselves the little nonprofit that could. We have 3 employees and a lot of dedicated volunteers. Our mission is to advocate for the personal empowerment and economic self-sufficiency of women and families, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or orientation. So we're all welcoming and all-inclusive agency, and we're very proud to say that. We mostly work as a resource and referral agency by connecting women in the community to resources they may not know about if they're going through a difficult time.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also have programs of our own. We provide just a warm and welcoming place for women to just safely tell their story without judgment, to have an ear a helpful and supportive ear to listen to their story. A lot of the women we work with live paycheck to paycheck, and they do not have that foundation of a support system in their lives. So we try to be that support system for them.
Which is really important.
Yeah.
Right? You have these women, and, I think for me, at least, shame is a big part of why it's hard to reach out when I'm needing help, or why it's hard to connect with women when I'm feeling vulnerable or not as good as, for whatever reason. So I imagine you see that in a lot of the women who you work with.
Women, wear so many hats. We are the caregivers, we are the nurturers, we are the teachers, we are the backbone of our families. A lot of times we are the breadwinners, and all of that all wrapped up into one.
Right.
And that's essentially why this organization was started over 30 years ago, was just to have a welcoming space for women, to have an outlet when they just need someone to talk to and connect with, especially when, going through difficult times, if it's parenting issues, with their children, or relationship issues with their spouse, or you name it, whatever, we're here to help. Yeah.
So how does it work? If I, was having a tough time, going through a difficult time, mm-hmm. And I came and walked through your door.
Yeah.
How does it work? Who is there for me to talk to? Just kind of help me understand what the process would be.
Sure. Our first point of reference at the center is our trained volunteer. She would be sitting there. She answers the phone, so she would be the first person you would see coming in the door. She would assess your needs. She's highly trained, so we I think we spend a whole day training the volunteers on what the resources are around us in our community, and how to speak with someone that's going through issues, because there's a special way to talk to people to make them feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
And not feel judged. So she would assess your issue, and then if our programs director is available, we'd probably connect you with her so she could sit down. She's a social worker, so she could sit down and talk to you. And just bottom line, we would like to see what the main issue is. So perhaps it's housing. You've been unhoused, or you can't find affordable housing. You just can't make ends meet. Mm-hmm. Then we have housing referral sheets that we can sit down and go over with you of all the housing referrals in the community, and have you start out with a set of phone numbers to call, and then we can call on your behalf, and then come back and connect and say, okay, did you get anywhere? Let's regroup. Let's try this. If this didn't work, so we're there just to kind of hold hands, with you and guide you through whatever the issue is that you need help with.
So they don't feel so alone, right? So it's not only information, it's also kind of support and connection and
support too. It's not just here's a piece of paper, go on your way. It's we help you through the process. So yeah.
That sounds wonderful. So what are some of the programs that you offer in-house?
Yeah. Resource and referrals, one of the main programs. So a lot of times we get phone calls. We will get, a lot of times, this is good to talk about the center, because a lot of times people think Women's Resource Center, they're a shelter. We're not a shelter. But what we can do is connect you to a shelter in your area, or the nearest shelter. If it's domestic violence related, we can get you connected ASAP to the domestic violence shelter in our area, and get you going from there. So that's part of our resource and referral. We also have in-house, we have a Women Aid program, which is a cool program we started last year, based on the fact that we're seeing so many women that were just living paycheck to paycheck. They're self-sufficient, but one thing happens, the car breaks down, I need a set of 4 new tires, or what have you, and that just throws everything, the apple cart just, explodes. Right. So the Women Aid program is a grant that they write to us, requesting funds for a specific item or for specific reason. And for example, we helped one lady buy a sewing machine so she could supplement her income. So she could sew on the side and help make money that way. We've helped people out with childcare. We've helped women out with car issues is a big one. new tires, fix a car, things like that, so they can get to work. You can imagine if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you have one vehicle, it breaks down, you can't get to work, you're missing work, you lose your job, and it just spirals from there.
Right.
So we're trying to catch those people before it spirals out. So that way, that puts less of a strain on our other local agencies and on the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how do they know how to contact you?
Yeah, we have the application is on our website, and they can also call us. We do this every other month. We open it up, and we're at the point now to where we can give out 2 of those scholarships every other month. So it started with a grant, wonderful seed money from Corning Incorporated Foundation, and then other foundations have kind of chimed in and helped us out with grant money for this.
That sounds amazing for the women who get it.
Yes.
How many applications do you get every time you open it up?
So we have averaged around 30, which is quite a bit.
Yes.
So in those, we have to sort through and kind of weed through and get the ones that have all the verification, because we make it, you have to provide receipts, you have to provide invoices, you have to, do a little budget. So it's not really complicated, but, you have to do a little work to get there, but it's worth it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. So that's been very successful for us during the pandemic. We have a wellness cooperative that we started at the end of 2019. So it really got put on hold during 2020. But our wellness cooperative has a lot to do with the same things you're trying to do with your podcast, is providing information for women about connecting and supporting each other and working on building healthy relationships, working on your personal health, personal exploration, lots of things like that we're all interested in, and connecting on another level, to coming together to just for friendship and camaraderie. So that tried to go virtual, which wasn't too great.
That's hard.
We even had a little book club with that too. But anyway, we hope to regroup here in a couple of months. We're recruiting for that leadership committee, and we're looking forward to starting up those, what we call wellness gatherings again, to bring people together.
That sounds wonderful. So is there, when these wellness gatherings will happen again, is there a certain agenda for each thing, or do people just kind of come in and talk? What is the structure of it?
Well, there would definitely be agenda for the gathering. So we would have a certain topic. We did one, I think one of them that went virtual was on childbirth, different methods of childbirth. If you're going to do it naturally at home, are you, a doula, like just the different ways, that you can bring your baby into the world. So it would be a topic, but so you could sign up for what's interesting to you. We also started before the pandemic a little breakfast kind of club. So on Saturday mornings, just think once a month we're getting together and just having coffee and danishes, and that really has no topic of main theme. It's just whatever you want, just to chat, just to connect. So yeah.
So hopefully those will start up again.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sometime soon.
Yeah. But one of our biggest programs, I think, at the Women's Resource Center that has gotten the most mileage during the pandemic is our pantry, our Pantry with a Purpose program. And that program is for women that are struggling to make ends meet. They may be on food stamps or have been approved for WIC, government assistance. But those cards and those government assistance programs don't cover items like Clorox and clothing detergent and toothpaste and paper towels and toilet paper and
necessities,
cleaning
for sure.
supplies for your home to keep your family healthy and safe, and also personal hygiene items, for women, menstrual hygiene items and things like that aren't covered. So our pantry is full of those items, and for those who qualify, we give them a big old setup of that, like a whole, at least a month or so's worth of cleaning supplies and personal hygiene items. But that's, it's only for those who are really in need, and we try to have that to be a once in a lifetime or a couple of times in a lifetime thing, like when you just really you hit a snag. But since the pandemic, we have really relaxed that a little bit, and because there's some people with just ongoing needs that are not being met. So
you're seeing a big growth in need since the pandemic.
We doubled what we did in 2019 by June of last year.
Wow.
Yes, in pantry. We weigh all the items. So yeah, it's been really a big need in our community.
Have you had trouble keeping it stocked?
We have, but when we reach out to the public, I send out an email blast or a Facebook post saying we're running low on items. I'll send out. We have a wish list on Amazon, which has been really great because people can just send us things, no contact, during the pandemic. So that's been awesome. Soon as I send out that we're getting low on things, the community really steps up and helps us out. I also wrote a grant last year to the Unifour Foundation, and they that has helped us keep our pantry stocked as well. So yeah, I think for the first time in a few years, we've had to spend money to buy the items for that pantry to keep it stocked.
Are you seeing a decrease now? I mean, now that they're kind of hopefully we're nearing the end of the pandemic?
It's kind of ebbed and flowed. I mean, it was at the very beginning, it was just kind of crazy. People were panicky. And then, it just kind of died down a little bit. And now it's back up again. We still are seeing a lot of people, women that have not gone back to work, basically because the pandemic has hurt sectors in which women usually work, particularly the hospitality industry, healthcare, places, that have been shut down usually are, that's where you find your women employees. So I think hopefully as things open back up, that's going to start, to dwindle down again. But,
right.
We're there. So
you are, and sounds like you've done an amazing job meeting.
We've tried.
The needs.
We've had to do, had to kind of revamp how we do things. We've did a lot of non-contact. We would have people just drive up and we'd pop it in their trunk, so nobody has to come in the building when everything was shut down. We've done home drop-offs for those women that are isolated. Those at the beginning, for sure, a lot of older people or people high risk, weren't going out of their homes,
right.
And they needed, that assistance. So we would just drop them off for them. Yeah.
So the Women's Resource Center is obviously focused on women and women supporting women and women helping women. What are your thoughts about why that's so important?
Yeah, it's extremely important, I think, for women to lift up each other. I believe that anytime change is affected, it's through community and connection. So when you have a group of people that have been marginalized over the years, come together in numbers and help each other and lift each other up. I mean, you're unstoppable when there's a lot of people that are, gathered together for a common purpose. I just think it's, I think I grew up more, I don't know if it's my generation, but I grew up more being a little competitive with other women. And I don't know if that's just because I'm competitive, but that being said, or if it's my generation or...
I think it's more than your generation. I think it's bigger than you. I mean, I think we are...
It's been ingrained in us.
I do think it has been.
Yeah. I think that I made an effort to raise my daughter differently. And I see her generation, like... And, her being in, theater and music, and it's a competitive industry.
Very competitive.
They're always like, you go, girl. Oh, my God, this you have to listen to this artist. She's wonderful. And they're always like, they're lifting each other up. And it just gives me goosebumps to see that generation, going back and forth like that. And they get it, I think. They're helping each other. And I think that's great for our future. When I started working for Women's Resource Center, and actually maybe before that, when I became a Pilates instructor, I love seeing people succeed. So, like as a teacher, I'd never been a teacher before till I was a Pilates instructor. And then watching someone try hard to like get a move right or try, do a modification and finally build up and, like master it. And like, yeah, you go. That's awesome. And then and most of my clients, Pilates clients, are women. And I just really started feeling that camaraderie and like lifting up through teaching. And then, of course, at Women's Resource Center, that's what we do every day.
Right.
So it's,
right.
Yeah.
It's definitely part of your world. So you mentioned that you raised your daughter differently. Or you raised your daughter kind of with that in mind.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you taught her? What are some of the ways in which you were purposeful in teaching her that?
Purposefully tell her many times to not compare herself to others. And that's a common woman thing. And I mean, I just, I wanted her to be her own individual and have her own personal standards and set her own personal goals that didn't have anything to do with Susie or, who the other girl,
right.
I just wanted her to not compare herself to others.
Right.
So, yeah. Because I had done that so much growing up. I think my whole philosophy of raising my daughter was do the opposite of what you did with yourself, really encourage her to not be that way. But
right. Which is it's hard. I mean, because there was, particularly with all the social media and all the pictures, that everybody looks perfect in these pictures. And I mean, even as a adult, it's very hard not to feel less than when I look at all of these kind of beautiful families and, women my age who have flawless skin and not feel bad like that. So I think as a teenager or a young woman, it would be particularly hard. Yeah,
she went to an art school, so North Carolina School of the Arts, and they're a big dance school. So she had all these little dancers, all the time, and all of her other cohorts in her acting class were always having eating issues and food issues and all kinds of issues. And once she sent me this text in college, and I almost cried thinking about it. And she said, "Mom, thank you so much for not giving me food issues, because we never talked about it. Like, we never talked about it. Girls go through that little age where they put on a little weight right before their period and things like that. And, I just remember, we never discussed it. And I never, if I felt less than or whatever, I never said that out loud in front of her.
Right.
So I think, hopefully that was one good thing I've done.
But you've also modeled health. You've modeled taking care of yourself. You've modeled kind of eating well, exercising. Pilates has clearly been a big part of your life. You're a runner, you're a hiker. So you've modeled that with her without having to say anything.
Right. And she took up running during the pandemic. They were stuck here with us. During the first part last year, they were stuck here with us. So the whole family just kind of took up. That's what we did every day, is just go out to the park and walk and run. And so she was like, I never thought I'd be a runner, but she started.
Is she sticking with it?
She's sticking with it a little bit. Yeah. It's hard in New York, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. So my daughter is 20. She's 20 now. I think I had kind of a similar philosophy. We never talk about weight. We talk about being healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, she's an athlete, right? So we talk about how she needs to fuel her body to perform.
Exactly.
And how she needs to take care of her body to perform. And she's, 5'9" and strong, and she'll never be teeny tiny, that's just, but there's beauty in her body, and she needed to learn that. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what you're talking about is trying not to be competitive and teaching them not to be competitive. And I do love, she has created a group of friends, and they really do lift each other up. They do support each other, and it's wonderful to watch. So I echo your
You see that a lot in sports. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's also a very competitive,
That's true.
It's a competitive venue, but then they learn to work as a team, and they learn to recognize that somebody else has a different strength than they do. And they need that strength, and they need to practice their strength.
Right.
So you guys they can all come together and and win.
And win. Yeah.
The ultimate goal. So, so I think I'm glad to hear you say you have hope in this kind of next generation and that it's going to be less competitive and more supportive of each other.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because it's hard, it makes, when I feel connected with another woman or I feel connected to a group, I get tearful. It's very moving.
It is.
For me. And so I just hope that they can feel that all the time.
The sisterhood.
Yes. Yes. So let's go back to the Women's Resource Center. Is it Women's Resource Center or the Women's Resource Center?
Well, we say Women's Resource Center, but back in the day, I've seen things that say the Women's Resource Center, but I think they dropped the like in the past 10 years. I'm not sure, but it does not matter.
Okay. I keep saying that.
We'll answer to either.
Right?
Yeah.
As long as you're knocking, we'll answer. You call this your dream job. Mm-hmm. What drew you to it, and what about it is just so fulfilling to you?
Yeah, I think the fact that I've always enjoyed volunteering and being on boards, and the whole nonprofit world I've been drawn to it over the years. And then when this opportunity came about for me to interview for the resource development position, which was essentially fundraising and helping out the then director, I just jumped at it. I was kind of just doing sales, and I was like, I'm not feeling fulfilled in my heart. I want to do a job, and get paid for it, although, it's a nonprofit, so it's not that much. But, do a job that's not volunteering to get that warm and fuzzy feeling, but let that be my job. And when this came about, I thought, yes, this is it. I couldn't think of a better. Women's Resource Center had such a great reputation, and I just thought, that's the place I need to be. Yeah. So I couldn't. When I interviewed that day, you walk in the building, and then you were just there not long ago, but there's a vibe in there. Yes. You just walk in, and it just feels like home. It just feels, and that's where I get to go to work every day. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like an old home.
It
looks like
home.
It was right.
Yeah. But it feels like home. It doesn't feel like work, does it?
No, it's definitely a very warm, welcoming place that you
funny story, when I got promoted to the executive director position, and I'd just been working 2 days a week before that, and then I didn't even dawn on me till maybe like I got my next paycheck that I was going to get a raise, that was working for us. I was like, oh yeah. But I just wanted the position so bad that it didn't even matter to me. It was kind of funny. I kind of laughed at it. But I was like, yeah, you're in the right place when that happens.
Well, it's not really
for the money.
Right. Not for the money. It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like your passion and a really good fit for you.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that are coming for Women's Resource Center? What are your goals?
Yeah. We have a couple of goals that we had talked about before the pandemic happened. We were planning to work on a program that helps women-owned businesses. We want to call it Woman Up, like Women Aid, Woman Up. I like that. But to help advocate for women-owned businesses, especially people of colors, to really help them to get started, and to also provide them and partner with local professionals to be volunteers, to kind of work as their, say, mentor. Right. Say you're starting a new business, and you're like, I know I'm not really good at marketing, and we tried to connect you with one of our volunteers that's what they do for a living. They're in marketing, and that they would be willing to volunteer their time to help mentor you to help get your business off the ground. So we're really excited about that. That's just in the works. So my programs director, I hired a new programs director back in January. Her name is Tara Thomas, and she is just gung-ho, like all this young energy, ready to do everything, very creative. And she has started researching on this and is in the process of connecting with the chamber and, small business association and places like that to where we can partner and help get this going. So we're really excited about that.
That sounds like an amazing program.
Yep. So, so we want to be more into the advocacy part of helping, like really
right,
tangibly helping lift women up.
Right. So not just being kind of a crisis center, a resource center,
right,
but creating something that is helping women not just get from crisis to functioning,
right,
but to really thrive and grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not everybody's meant to be a business owner. I get that.
Right.
And so we're also working on the workforce development side of that to help. We want to partner with, and if you're any businesses out there who would like to partner with us on this, we would like to work with like one-on-one with companies, like say a furniture company or a specific company that hires, quite a few people to train specifically Women's Resource Center clients. And then at the end of that training, give them a job. So, and I know there are a lot of jobs available in our area right now. And I just don't know that people are getting connected or getting the right training to get that job. And if we could just kind of bridge that gap by partnering with a company,
right,
and like having that company say, we're going to train your ladies and we will hire your ladies if they're qualified.
Right. So your role in that would be to kind of create the group of women, but also kind of vet them.
Yeah.
Like make sure that
just
they
have
are
the right. Yeah.
That they're a good fit for that job.
And a lot of those jobs, especially working a lot of the furniture companies in our local industries, are good paying jobs, or jobs that are more than, your minimum wage jobs. These are living wage jobs with benefits.
Yes.
And so that, once a woman has it, you talk about empowerment, having a job, that's empowering. Being able to provide for your family, that's empowering. So we really want to work harder on the workforce development side, right? We had a workforce development program a couple of years ago, but I think we were missing that partnership aspect. And that's what we want to focus more on moving forward with workforce development.
So do you have, if there are some companies who are thinking that this might be something that they'd really like, what would be the process? Kind of, what are you looking for from them? Does it have to be a certain size company? Does it have to be a certain kind of job?
No, just an openness and a willingness to give a mom a chance. A single mom or a woman that needs a job a chance to learn the skills and to be hireable. And we'll work on the hireable part on our end of it. We do a lot of interview coaching. We also do resume writing, editing, helping with resumes and things like that. We would be helping on that end, as well as those other job skills that you need, to be on time and
yes.
Social media etiquette and
yes.
and other things that make you hireable these days. So
yes, I mean, as a small business owner, there are certain things that I'm kind of astounded that some people don't know. But you're right, there's skills. There's skills that clearly they haven't learned.
Right.
And so to have somebody working with them on those skills, and then the company working with them to train them for that sounds like a wonderful program.
Yeah, we would love to just find the right. It's going to take the right fit and somebody willing to work with us, and we're ready and waiting if that comes across. So we haven't figured out all the details as far as that is going forward. And I know my board of directors, we've discussed this several times, and I think they're on the lookout to start looking for some businesses to pull in. So yeah, we're excited.
Those sound like great programs. Anything else coming down the pike that you want to mention?
We have an event coming up on May the 22nd. This will be the third attempt to have this event, which is finally going to happen, I hope, where it's called Art in the Park. And we are utilizing the park that Women's Resource Center, the house, sits in. It's called the Sally Fox Park. And we're excited to have over 30 local artists, vendors registered for this event. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have musicians. We're going to have an art auction. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And, by May 22nd, hopefully a lot of people will feel like getting out and about.
And it's going to be outside.
Yeah, outside. And hopefully it'll be a beautiful day like today. And we'll be able to raise some funds for Women's Resource Center.
So all the artwork's been donated?
Yeah, the artwork for the donations, for the silent auction's been donated by each artist that's participating in the event. So we're getting some really, really beautiful, cool things in. So I'm excited.
You are. I was able to see some. They look great.
Yeah.
Really nice. So in all of the years you've been working at Women's Resource Center, and it sounds like there have been tons of interactions and tons of women you've met and tons of women you've worked with. Is there one interaction that particularly stands out to you as particularly moving or powerful?
Yeah. So there really are so many, but that being said, as the director, I don't typically work one-on-one with the women. My programs director does, but being a small nonprofit, I do end up answering a lot of phone calls and working with women every now and then. And more recently, I had a woman call, spent a couple of months ago. And she come to find out she was in her late 60s, and she was crying at first. So we got to calm her down and talk, and she just said the pandemic was getting to her. She had no family. She had not been anywhere, done anything for months. She just needed somebody to talk to. And so she said she needed help, and I got her some phone numbers for counseling, and our counseling is going to start back in May, so I'm excited about that. We'll be offering free counseling again, and I've got her set up for that too. But she and I think we ended up talking for like half an hour or more. So come to find out, no family, just her. So I got her address and I drove out to her house, and I was going to take her what we call busy bee kits. We created these little kits during the pandemic of they have brain teasers, adult coloring books, a poetry book, some warm fuzzy socks, some lotion, stuff like that, and just put it in a little bag. And we've been dropping on people's doorsteps. If somebody have called and said, "Oh, my friend, she could really use that," we've done that, or people have called for themselves. So I took that out to her. I said, "Do you mind if I have your address? I'm going to run something out to you." So I was going to hang it on her doorknob, but she was out in the yard. So we got to meet and talk for a long, long time. And now we just call each other every so often and just connect. And
you made a friend.
Yeah, she's having some health issues. And, it's just, to be all alone in the world, and to be all alone in the world during this time is just heartbreaking. So that one's just really close to my heart right now because it's pretty recent, and I just talked to her last week.
And so it's she was at this hugely vulnerable moment, right? She's feeling hopeless, she's feeling scared, lonely, sad, and I'm sure it took some courage for her to make that phone call.
Yeah.
And say, help me, because who knows what kind of reaction she was going to get, right? So asking for help anytime takes a lot of courage, and particularly when you're feeling that low.
Yeah.
And so for her to experience your reaction, which was open arms and warmth and we've got you, must have been really, I don't know, life-changing for her, kind of just shifted her reality a little bit.
That is a time when you really do feel like sometimes you work hard all day and you just don't know if you're making a difference or whatever. And, when you make those connections, you kind of know, you know that something happened there. And when bottom line, that's what most of the women need from us.
Yes.
We had a woman that, applied for Women Aid, and she came in and she talked to our programs director forever, and she said, "You know what? thank you for just listening to me. She's like, I've been trying to tell my story and people think I'm crazy and people won't listen. And you just listen to me, and that's just what we want. That's what we all need.
You know what? I
to
agree.
Be heard. Yeah.
Yes, to be heard and to be validated. And so this is a little bit of a long story, but it goes to, and I won't tell the whole story, but there was a moment in my life where I was physically hurt and terrified. And a stranger came up and just kind of held me. And I'm going to cry thinking about it now.
Me cry.
And it was just like, that was it. Like, and then, I hung on to her. And then I was okay. So it was just her recognizing in me that all I needed, right, that I was scared. There's nothing anybody could do to take the pain away or take the injury away, right? But all I needed for that moment was to just be held. And I think women are really good at that.
Yeah.
When we can let our guard down and just see the pain, and that we're good at just kind of joining together.
And that was powerful. Yeah.
That was so powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, I will never forget it. And I, felt hugely connected with her afterwards. We maybe had a couple of interactions after that. And every time I was just, so grateful to her. And, I'll probably never, this was years ago, so I'll probably never see her again. But but we came together in that moment.
And she made an impact in your life.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what you did for that woman. And that is, I think part of what's really wonderful about Women's Resource Center is that she knew to call you, right? Like,
yes.
She had heard about you.
She said her pastor had mentioned us. And then she reached out from her pastor. But yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. And that happens a lot. It'll be a friend of a friend, says you should call Women's Resource Center. So it's a lot of word of mouth. Yeah.
You get around. So with all, how do you, because it's also, kind of stressful, right? You see huge needs in the community. And I'm sure there are times when it feels like it's, too much and you can never do enough to make it go away or to help these women as much as they need. So how do you handle that? And how do you take care of yourself?
Yeah. I guess the bottom line is you have to set some boundaries and you have to, which is hard for me. You have to, this is why it's great that I don't work one-on-one because I want to take everybody and you can't take everybody into your heart and your head. And I mean, it's just too much. But you have to realize that we are not here to fix people. We are here to guide women and to provide them with tools and resources so that they can get what they need themselves. That's empowering.
Yes.
If we fixed them, which we can't, that's not going to help them either. So, and it's realizing that it's a hard thing to realize when you're in the moment and you're dealing with a really hard case. I mean, we've had more women living in their cars lately and just lots of really hard on your luck stories. And my new programs director and I are always having this conversation because she's young and this is her first social work job. And to let her know, I'm always worried about her self-care because I'm like, you're the one that hears the hard stories all day long. You've got to be able to step back, take care of yourself, take a break. Like she'll say, I'm just going to stay in at lunch. No, go out, get away from the office. I do that almost every day. I make sure I get out for at least a few minutes, even if I'm working long that day, just to get away and take a breath.
Yes.
Yeah. Take some time for yourself and just come to that realization that we are not fixers. And that's what I know we want to do, but we can't do that.
No. And you're right that we want to do it, I think, because we feel their pain and we want to make that pain go away. But recognizing that if we do it for them, that doesn't help anybody. Right. That your role is to give them the tools to help themselves, to do it themselves.
Exactly. It's like parenting.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. We want to, you can't tie your kids' shoes till they're 10, they'll never
Nope.
learn how to tie their shoes. So,
Right.
you've got to teach them and give them what you know and then let them do it.
Right. I mean, it's particularly hard when they're in pain, right?
Yeah.
You want to jump in and yell at the coach for not putting your kid in, or you want to call up the teacher and say, what do you mean? Like, you got a D. He doesn't deserve a D, when he actually probably does deserve a D.
Right.
But when they're upset, as a parent and as somebody who is caring and connected, we want to take that pain away. But
Yeah.
so I think part of the process is learning the boundaries and recognizing that even though it feels like we're not doing enough, we're doing more than we would be doing had we just fixed it for them.
Exactly. It's better for that person.
Right.
All around.
Right.
And it's hard to realize that sometimes, but yeah. My other programs director, she would always say this cute little thing. She would say, I just want to put them in my pocket and take them home with me.
Right.
You just want to
Yes.
sometimes scoop people up and say, here, I'm here for you.
Right.
But you got to do it in a way that, will help them help themselves. So.
Right. Right. Yeah. So what have you incorporated in your life that helps you help yourself?
Yeah. So, aside from binging Netflix during the pandemic, let's see. I like to, of course, we talked about running, hiking. Anytime I'm outdoors, I feel good. So I've been doing Pilates in the park at Women's Resource Center every Friday morning, weather permitting. So just to be outdoors and enjoy nature and to move, that makes me feel good.
But let me back up to Pilates in the park, because we've mentioned that a couple times. Is that open to anybody? How does that work?
Yeah, that's just a pay what you can. You can come for free. If you can't afford it, that's fine. It's pay what you can, and all the proceeds go to Women's Resource Center. So it's just something I've been doing because I can't teach in a studio right now, or haven't been because of the pandemic. It's like my regular students are like, we have to do something, and so I started doing that, and that's been a great outlet, and it's been a great outlet for them too, because we've been all socially distanced and we're not like coming together and socializing anymore. So we get to be spread out in the park, and you can just catch up and talk. And it's
right.
It's open to anybody who just wants to try it. You just come for free if you whatever.
Yeah. And I do know, I've seen you in action, because when my store was Delicia, you came and taught there, and how patient and supportive you were to brand new people. It was wonderful.
Well, thanks.
So yeah, I highly recommend your class.
Thank you. I like new people, and Pilates is you can offer so many modifications, so it's for all levels. So it's less is more. Do what you can do, and then build up. So it's really good for somebody just starting out.
How did you get started with it?
Yeah, I just took a class, I think at the spa, many years ago, 15 years ago, and I just fell in love with it. And I think basically the reason I fell in love with it, after a class, I felt invigorated, but then I felt at peace at the same time. It's like I felt like, I can take on the day, and then I felt like calm. And I think it has a lot to do with it. It's a mind-body exercise, just like yoga, in the way that you're focusing on the now, and you're focusing on a breath. So when you're focusing on your breath, you can't really make, grocery lists in your head, and your monkey mind just kind of slows down because you're focused on what you're doing. And for me, I'm kind of very ADD, and it kept me focused for an hour on something, and I just enjoyed that.
So it's kind of, it's a little bit like meditation as well as physical exercise.
Yeah, I think after you're finished with the class, you really kind of feel like you have been meditating because you just have been right there.
Right.
But it's a little more fast-paced than meditating, and it's a little more fast-paced than most yoga because you're not holding any stagnant poses. It moves and flows. And I was a cheerleader for a cajillion years, so I think I gravitated towards that just because of that, because there's movements and there's flow to it. And I think my mind just kind of liked it. And it's just with any exercise, do something you like, and you can do it for a lifetime. If you make yourself do it, then What fun is that?
Right. If it feels like a chore,
yeah,
then it's going to be hard to stick with.
Yeah. So it's always something I look forward to doing. So, and it works your whole core, which is your abs, your low back, your hips, your buttocks, like
I'm sitting up straight.
The whole part of your body that holds your spine up straight. And it helps strengthen that, but it also helps lengthen the muscles and create strength all over. So, yeah.
So if someone wants to give it a try, they can come Friday morning.
Yeah. It's usually Friday at 11 if it hasn't poured the rain all night on Thursday night, which it usually has been doing lately.
I know, there's a lot of rain.
But today it was perfect.
So how will they know it's going on or not? Or do you post it on Facebook?
I post it on the Women's Resource Center's Facebook page every time.
So they should follow that page.
Yeah. I tried to also do it in the Life in the Hickory Bubble page. But yeah, they can find it.
All right. You may have some newcomers.
Yeah, I hope so.
So hiking has also been a big part of your life.
Yeah.
Forever?
I grew up in the mountains.
Right.
Yeah. Well, forever. I guess I took it for granted. Like when I was a kid, I just thought that's what everybody did every day. But I grew up near a state park. So my vacation Bible schools would be at the park. Like everything was like there. And I used to want to be a naturalist when I was a little girl. I was like, I'm going to grow up and be like a park ranger person for a while, just because I loved being outside so much. But yeah, I grew up doing it all the time and then kind of got out of it. And my husband, he loves to hike. So we've gotten back into it. So yeah.
There's some great hikes around here. So
yeah, we spent a lot of time in Brevard lately, waterfall chasing. It was really awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
that sounds really
great
fun.
Waterfalls.
So art seems to also kind of weave its way through your life, and I imagine whether it's something that's conscious for you or not. Art is definitely a way of expressing yourself. I think doing art, it can be very therapeutic for people.
Yeah.
But then also sharing it can be very vulnerable. So there's lots of different aspects of art that kind of feed into this whole wellness theme. Have you given some thought to what art means to you and how you, I think as an amateur painter, you call yourself kind of.
I think I love to collect local art. I have lots of art from people around here. I like to know who the artist is. So my house is full of just local folk art and lots of other art, but I can say I met that person or I know that person. And I like that connection.
Yes.
The connection to having, I have one of their pieces.
Right.
Yeah. And it gives me pride, I don't know.
Well, because, I think back to being vulnerable when you're creating something from yourself, right? Like that, which artists do. It's a little piece of them.
Yeah.
And then they give it to you to cherish and hold on to. And then I think there is that kind of connection and vulnerability.
For me, that's what it's about. I don't often just go, I'm going to go to a gallery somewhere in, out of town and just buy that piece. I like to buy the piece of people I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you do your own painting?
I do a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I like the folksy side of art, just probably because I'm not trained, that's what folk art is, self-trained, self-taught. But I really like the kind of, what's the word? I don't know, when you look at a piece that looks unique without trying to be perfect, I can appreciate a fine piece of art and go, wow, because I know I could never achieve that.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm one of those person that says, I could paint that. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it's accessible. It seems like
it's more real.
Even I can try to do that and maybe make something nice. I don't know. But yeah.
Right. And, there's something very real about putting your flaws out there, right? Like creating something and knowing that it's not perfect and yet still putting it out there and kind of like, okay, what do you guys think? And having people appreciate that.
I was talking to one of the artists that donated for art in the park, and she was saying, and she's a fabulous artist, and I've admired her work for years. And she says she's trying to do more abstract, because she tries to be too perfect, And I think That's a really good point, because I try, sometimes I'll try to do something kind of abstracty, but then you're trying to make the nose look perfect.
Right.
Let the nose look wonky. That makes the art look better, really.
Right.
But as an artist, it's hard not to try to make it look perfect.
Well, because I think you're thinking what other people are going to think, right? Right. Mm-hmm. You're
like, but what I have in mind is this. And you've got to just let that speak for itself.
Right.
It's easier said tn done.
Yes. I mean, right back to that vulnerability piece.
Yeah.
So to kind of bring it back around, can you remind people how to get in contact with someone? I don't know if it would be you or somebody else at Women's Resource Center.
They would probably speak to our volunteer first off. And you could call 828-322-6333. And we're there Monday through Thursday from 9 until 4. We do have an answering service, an answering machine. So, we'll answer your call at the next, available time. Yeah. Also, if someone wants to contact me personally, my email address is director@wrchickory.org. And I'll be happy to speak with anybody about community partnerships or, whatever ways that we can partner with people in the community.
That sounds great. And you guys also have a website that goes through all of your programs.
www.wrchickory.org. And we just updated our website last year. So it's really exciting. We hadn't had a website in 10 years. And, our 10 hadn't been updated or redone. So now it's very contemporary and hip. And
it's great.
We like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very easy to navigate. The information is wonderful.
We want it to be simple and clear. And so we're real happy with that.
Yeah. So, I am so happy, and I don't know. I feel I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm so glad you came in. I think there's so much wisdom that you carry, and while it can be very hard to be vulnerable and connect. That piece is hard. I don't think it's hard to support other women. Yeah. I think that can be something that's very easy and very meaningful. And if we look for opportunities to do that, it goes a long, long way.
Yeah.
Just as an example, Incredible Edibles is having an anniversary event tomorrow, which is Saturday. So by the time this runs, it'll be over. But you shared that. You shared my post with a line. You said, let's support.
When women help women, amazing things happen.
Right.
Yes.
And that meant so much to me. I was like, oh my God. So just that small act really means a lot. And I think if we can just all look for opportunities to do that for each other, it's going to make a big difference.
That's right. We got to stick together.
We sure do. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Really fun.